When you're building any kind of SaaS app, you want to put your best foot forward because it's so important that you make a great first impression. In this video, you're going to see this collapsible sidebar menu that you can take and use in your app. So let's kick this off by taking a look at the menu and a more thorough overview. So first and foremost, we can see that we have a hover effect on all of the top menu items. And then here down on the bottom, we have this flyout also with some hover effects where people can go and manage their settings. So some really good organization on this. And then, of course, when we collapse the menu, we see that we still get this hover effect. We also get something that tells what exactly the menu item is. And then we still have this flyout menu. Now, these small ones down here, these are just like suggestions as far as, what you might put in this area. I've seen other ones where they'll actually put a box, they'll have a call to action, maybe an upgrade. Here, I'm saying the person's account status. I could say free account. I could say free - upgrade or something like that. Just little things that can show people where they are and what's up with what they're doing. Next, let's take a look at the agenda for the video. So we've already seen basically all the things that you'll get: the hover, the flyout, of course, the cool style, and the collapsible way to do it. Now, if we look at the sitemap for this example app I'm calling Commenter. And that is a AI SaaS app where different platforms, the various social networks out there's a bunch of them, could be connected through the API. And the style that someone has already used for answering similar comments can be given to that AI. And when new comments come in, it can write a reply for those comments, maybe even one or two versions. Show basically this is for accounts and businesses that have a lot going on, and then just automatically generate ones for review that someone can go into a table and they would just be next one, next one, next one, next one. And so that's the idea of this SaaS app. So that when we look at our open comments here, that's what that one means. Closed comments, these could be pending or completed or something like that. Just whatever. I'm choosing smaller words to keep the menu smaller, basically. But you get the point. And then the integrations, this would be where we go over to the various channels and we make the connection between the app and the other channel to be able to have the authorization to pull in comments on behalf of the users. Okay, so that's really what's going on with this example app. And then when we dive in to build it, we'll see the top menu, we'll see the logo, we'll see those menu items, then we'll see the bottom, what I've mentioned here as these extras, and then the flyout menu. And then, of course, next level, if you are interested in taking this type of app and learning actually how to build recipes using various AI tools, it's a whole lot like a cooking recipe where you're deciding what happens at what point in a process. And then you're making the connections with those, and you're basically, writing the cookbook, as it were, for how that works, and then packaging that up into a monthly subscription. So check out the link below if you're interested in learning how to work through an entire AI SaaS app build if you want to do something like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into our bubble editor where we're going to get started in building this. One of the things that I noticed about this right out of the gates is that menus get used on a bunch of pages. So that means we're going straight to a reusable element. So I'll just add a new one in here called the sidebar, and we'll get going with that. I'd recommend that you do as well. I mean, it's going to go on a bunch of different pages. And if you happen to have an older account, you'll want to go ahead and hit upgrade responsive just to get that going. And then with that out of the way, let's see what we want to do for this thing. I'll say right away, we notice that it's a collapsible sidebar, right? So that is a custom state that we'll just keep track of. And we'll say, is it collapsed or not? And that'll be a yes, no. We'll give it a default of no. And then let's go ahead and set a few layout settings on it. Let's go, and we're going to put 220 on both of these for now. We'll say a minimum height of 720. The minimum height is just so you can have something that working in your canvas area you can see everything. And okay, that's so close. Maybe I'll say 700. Okay, and let's go and start. Let's grab our first group. So what I'm going to do is name this one G logo. That's going to be our top group. And I'm just going to give it the layout. So it's going to fit height content. That content I already know is going to be 30. On the left-hand side, we're going to give it a padding of 20, 20 on the top for the margin. We'll go ahead and let it expand out for now. And we'll take an image and we'll drop it into here. And then grabbing that image, I'll just drop it in and we'll get the layout settings on that. So I'm choosing to go with 30 by 30. I think it is a pretty good size for this. And then I'm just going to go copy and paste. Let's actually make this a row. And then that with that already placed there, we'll just do that. And then we'll call this commentary. Give it a size of 18. Some kind of more bolded font. And we'll let's not have a minimum there. Center it. And then we'll give this a 10 column gap to get some space there. And then we'll also take this and we'll bring it down to fit to content. Well, this, let's see, fit to content. And same for this one. Okay. Next, a few things. We know that it's going to be collapsible. So we can think, we'll just take these as we do this one by one. And note that when, it's this sidebars, collapsed is yes, then this element is not visible and collapse when hidden. Okay, cool. Next up, we are going to build the little arrow that shows up. So if we want to have something that we can be kind of referring to here, is this. And so I can delete that out. This is actually going to change into a material icon where we'll go and first make it fixed width. Always do that for icons. Otherwise, the spacing can be, it'll just look funny when you look at the live preview. And 18 by 18 for that one. And then on the conditional line, we'll get to that in a second. We'll get this blue. We'll find an arrow and we'll say expand out and take up space. No, wait, let's see. It's actually the other way around. So we want to collapse here, but then again, when the sidebars collapsed is yes, then we want for this icon, now we want it to expand out, and that would be perfect there. Okay, for this logo copy, this is now, let's call this group arrow. And let's remove a few of these items on here. No minimum width. Although let's give it a padding 333 all the way around. And then let's make sure it has a roundness of 100. That'll be good. We'll give it a border solid, let's just say maybe 40%, something like that. Okay, then for our layouts, let's go, and for the alignment, we'll take it all the way to the left, and then we'll add a right margin of, say, -12. And that will put it, nope, I think we need a -13. Yep, looks good. Okay, so then let's get some conditionals going on that. Again, so much depends on whether the sidebar is collapsed or not. When it is collapsed, well, my bad, not that. It's not when it's collapsed. The icon changes. It's when it's hovered. That's what it is. Okay, so this arrow, first, let's get the conditional, and then we will but I'm going to take these now. I'm going to wrap these into a column container. I'm going to call this G shell. I'm going to let this be basically the shell for everything. So I'm going to let it expand out. And then when G shell is hovered, then I want to change the opacity on this to 100. And then here, I want to bring the opacity down to 0. So that's how we get this nice effect where it's not visible. Now it is. Now it is. And then I'll also show this tip, in case you didn't know. Some apps have this nice polish where, as you're moving things around, it's not like a kind of a jerky movement or motion. There's smooth, there's fluidity, and that is achieved through these transitions, which is amazing that Bubble makes these available for just nicer experiences overall. It's a great polishing touch. Okay, so that's that. And then now let's go and grab another group. So I would recommend that you can be testing this. So this is going to be group menu shell, make last, let it expand, give it left and right of 10. But you can drop this reusable sidebar into a spot and then you can hide it, show it, hide it. In fact, let's go and do that. So I've just created a new page here. I'm going to look for the sidebar, and then actually I want to make this responsive first. And then for this sidebar, go ahead and, so let's make this let's say a row. And then what we want to do with this is we want to give it a 0 minimum width, but a max width of 220. And then we want to give it a minimum height of 100 pixels here. And then we're going to give it a conditional. When this custom element's collapsed is yes, then we're going to say that the maxed width is 70. So there's some stuff happening both on the reusable element and when you place it over here. And I just noticed I would also like to give this a roundness of, say, 8. No, 6. That's good enough. So we'll kind of lose our preview here of what we're working with, but we'll get to see what we've got here. And cool, so we got that. Awesome. That reminds me then also on this sidebar here, what you want to do is give it a shadow style, outset, turn everything to 0 except for blur radius. Do how you will, but I think this gives a pretty nice style here. Is it 30 or 40? I'm not sure. Somewhere around here. But that's how we kind of get the right edge of this, so it feels like a menu bar. And then, of course, if we take away the debugger, you might notice that when you have elements that are 100%, they get moved around or they look funky with the debugger. But okay, so we've kind of got this going, and it looks like we also want to grab this arrow, give it a background style of this, and then that will take care of seeing the line pass through it. And a lot of this stuff, this is we're just getting some things on the page. And, for anyone who is real design savvy, any of you UI designers out there who are getting into the world of Bubble, obviously make it better and tell us about it in the comments too. Tell us what you did. We would love to know. Okay, so one thing about this menu shell is that it's going to get this space between, and this is really what allows, well, if we had the other one up, we have our top stuff here and our bottom stuff here, and then we have this kind of buffer in between here that can get moved around, and so it's no matter how much stuff we have, until there's a limit, but we can have there's a lot of room for a lot of stuff, and it keeps it separated top and bottom through this. So next we'll grab another group, and this will be G top menu. And here I'm just going to give it some height just so I have something to work with. I'll let it expand all the way out. And then inside of this, I'll also go and I'll give it a group. I'm going to call this G dashboard. And this is going to be an aligned to parent. And 40 is fine. Yeah, I think 40 is good for a minimum width. We'll actually go with that. We'll allow this to expand out all the way. What we're going to do is we're going to get an image into here. And we are going to get a link into here. And then we're going to get working on these. And we'll get a few things set up on them so that we can copy this down and basically get all the things that we want. Okay, so what do we have here? This G dashboard, this G top menu. Okay, so we want this to be, it is an aligned to parent. Let's just make this a fixed height for now. That's what's causing it. Okay, cool. So these ones, we want them to be 20 aspect fixed ratio. And we'll say here, we want to get a left margin of 15. So if we look at our padding here, basically when it's small, we're going to have 70. There's 20 on the left of this, there's 30 here, and there'll be 20 on the right. So that would be 20 and 20, that's 40, plus 30, that's 70. So that's kind of what's going to make this up. So if we look at this 20, and then we add 15, 15 is basically, it's the 45 pixel mark, that's the center line. So we're trying to get this into that position, which we've given it a 10 and a 25, although it's 20, so the half of that is 10. So we have 10 plus 15, that's 25, plus another 10, that's 35. So that'll be that one. We'll call this dashboard blue. And just copy and paste that. Dashboard black. And those will be for our icons. Okay, and then we've got this link. And what we want to do actually is we want to let this thing expand out all the way. And then we're going to, for the styling, I'm actually going to cheat a little. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go copy, layout settings, paste layout settings, and then we'll take a look at them. So, okay. So what do we have here? We have, this is aligned to the right middle of the parent container. And let's see, I suppose for this text, we're going to say dashboard. We would link this to somewhere. The reason why this is a link is because we would like it so that the link is the only element in Bubble when you're going to have someone navigate somewhere where you can right click on it and you get open in a new tab. That's a very common and important thing, I think, in terms of, and in fact, it didn't even make it onto what you'll get here, but I actually believe that in terms of making your Bubble app compete with the convention of what's out there for apps, people really want this ability to open a link in a new tab by right-clicking, because it allows them to control their experience of, okay, I'm working here, and then I have these two tabs for this, and people bounce between tabs, and they have this sense of organizing their own navigation within your app. So that's just something nice to do for your users. Okay, so I think we'll also want to go here, and we copied the layout settings. We'll now also just copy the formatting here just to make it a little bit easier, and then we'll take a look at that formatting. So what do we have for this? We have our app font, and then we're looking at size 14, 344054 at a 500, and then line spacing of 1. Center the text vertically, and that is basically what is going to get it set up. Next up, one of the things that came over on that is that when this link is hovered, that we're going to change the font color to, actually in our case, we're going to change it to this. So that means when this is hovered, this turns blue, and we're also going to do some stuff to the icons here. So we're actually going to want it for this dashboard. This is where, so when this group is hovered, we're going to change the background color. So this one has, just as a group out of the box, it has a flat color. But we're going to, which is down to 0 transparency apparently. But for this one, let's take a look at, we'll just get some help. So F7, F5, FF at 60%. And that is going to be our hover. And then we're also going to, for the borders, border roundness, we're going to set as 6 or 8. Choose your preference. And then that's going to be perfect for that. Let's even go ahead and take a look at how that is. And we'll just kind of get a sense of progress. Yep, cool. And let's see, so for that circle, I think I'm just going to grab it here. For this, maybe even 20%. Okay. Okay, so what's happening here? Well, we've got some icons, and these icons, I'll just make them available on a link if you want to grab them, because the advantage is that if you are building this, then you can just put these in, you can use them, and then come back when you have decided what's going to go into your app as, the final, with some final icons. These come from a icon kit at a UI kit called Untitled UI. That's untitledui.com.io perhaps, but just search it and you should be able to find it. Okay, so now I've got that. What I want to do, though, is I want for this blue one, I want to turn the opacity all the way down. I want to add a conditional that when G dashboard is hovered, then the opacity is up. And I want that to be immediate. I want the immediate feel of when someone is hovering. It's just there. It works. Okay, so that'll be the blue one, and then for the black one, we'll grab the same expression, and we will just turn this one off. It doesn't matter, I guess, when it's collapsed. If the parent group is aligned to parent, it doesn't matter. It does on other ones, so I think it's a good best practice to, just when you're hiding something, to check that it's collapsed when hidden. But in the case of an aligned to parent, it does not matter in that case. But okay, so now let's take a look at what we've got. Okay, so we basically got our first thing. And then we can see that this open link in new tab shows up because this is a link item. Awesome, so that feels really good. Let's go and now do the easy part of, not that. This. Okay, so what do we want to have for these? We have open comments. And then closed comments. And integrations. Okay, and then we'll just get the icons over in here as well. We'll just kind of go off of we'll get some help. And let's get it so we can see. On both of these. And this is great. I mean, you can see how just this is what it takes. Building one time, once it's there, it's a great looking thing. You won't really ever have to do anything for it again. Customize it a little bit, sure, but so we'll integrate with these social platform channels for our brands and allow them to do that. Okay, so let's take a look at our progress, and we'll basically have handled a significant amount of work here, of heavy lifting. So with those conditionals on each of those things, now let's also see, okay, so we don't have this thing yet, but let's tackle that now. Let's go over and add the workflow onto this. Not that one, this one. So we don't have any workflows yet. And when this one is clicked, what we want to have happen, let's give this a better name, Curial icon. So let's just call this arrow expand collapse. So when this is hit and the sidebars collapsed is no, then we want to set the state on this as yes. Cool. And then we'll just want the opposite to be true. When it's yes, we want to set this back to no. And then I doubt this will work the first time, but it would be pretty impressive if it does. Okay, look at that. And we have this, because of how we set our groups up, we have this nice hover effect still on the exact, the groups. So you can see that that's where we're rocking and rolling here. Now, there's one thing I want to do just before we go and work on the bottom part of this sidebar. So I'm going to jump in here. I'm actually going to go and I'm going to select all of these links. And I'm going to say bring to front. Oh, and yep. Okay, got the integrations one too. Okay, cool. What that's going to do is that otherwise, if they're not at the front, then when you right click to do the special thing of open the link in a new tab, it's actually going to be like open the image in a new tab, but that'll take care of that. Okay, so moving on now, what we're going to do is just grab, copy and paste this. Let's see, maybe there's some stuff that we can reuse. Probably two of these for the if we go back and look at our example one here, what we're trying to follow, we have report a bug and a how-to tutorial. So I think that, some of these design decisions, I'll just go ahead and show you mine. It is that these would be slightly smaller for the icons. So I'm going to go with 18 on these here and here. And what that does, though, is that it means on this for the no, it'd be these. So we want 16 now, actually. And let's see, it'd be all of these icons. We want 16 on the left. Just for making them a little bit smaller, because these are not as important as these up here, is what the idea there is. Let's see, we can go ahead and kill that link and then go for this. We're going to go 32, and that we're just going to only need one of those. That's going to be profile picture. So I'm just kind of using what we have to help rough some things in. Now, of course, so the way I picture it on these, the report a bug, the how-to tutorial, this could pop up similar to this. It could pop up something, how-to tutorial, like something down here where a video is seen. It could also fully go to another page. Same with this report a bug. Report a bug, it just pops up a thing here that says, tell us the bug, an input, cancel, or report bug as a button. So there's multiple ways to do this. And because of that, I'm actually going to do the quicker version of this, where I'm just going to delete out this link. I'm going to make this back to a row, and I'm just going to get this roughed in how I see it from here. So this will be text, let's go, this is group report bug. Let's also just clean this up quick. Bottom menu and group report bug. What I want to have here is I'm actually going to go with a material icon. We'll get that back down to 18 by 18. Make it fixed width. That will not be true. We will always display this bug icon, and then we'll make a selection for a bug icon. Here we'll say report a bug. And then not fixed width, but fit to content. We'll make this like that. Let's go ahead on this thing. What we'll do is we'll just have it fit. This is a row, space between elements, we'll say 10. Okay, so let's see, for this one it's column. For here we have a row, here we have a row. On this column, let's just go ahead here and add something like that. Okay, back working in this report a bug area. Okay, that's what happened. So we lost this. We don't want to fix height. We want to fit height content. That's perfect. And then we just want to check out a few settings on these things. We can leave that on the icon. That's fine. Okay, that's part of what was okay, perfect. So actually, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just use this one that I've already pre-styled and do a copy paste on that. So it'll be report bug, and then what's our text here? How to tutorial. And we do want the text to, let's see, when the sidebars collapsed is yes. That's the conditional we want on this. We want that text to be hidden, and then same here for this one. So we've kind of gotten a little bit of a head start there from a few items already there, and then now we've got it pretty close to being roughed in for these items. So the one thing we want to make sure is yes, this collapses. For this one here, let's go ahead and make it fit to content. And then it'll just swing on down when this one collapses. Same for this one. Collapse when, somewhere fit with content. Okay, that'll collapse down towards this. Now, yeah, so that'll work. If we wanted to text it at this point, we could. So why not just see our progress test iteratively, bit by bit? Perfect. So these things, so it looks like we could optimize a little bit how those are appearing. Although I'll just say that, we've already gone over the specifics of how to do this here. So for the purpose of this tutorial, just for the sake of length, what we'll do is we'll just remove these conditionals on here and this G how to tutorial. Okay, cool. So that just kind of eases the necessity for this video, and still gives you the information that you would need per these ones, and you would just transfer that for how you would want the exact thing to go. And you might also, get some top and bottom spacing around this. So the height of this would be potentially padded, have padding, and let's just go ahead and see how you would do that. So that on this bottom menu for this 10, if we wanted to do this, I was thinking about how can we use that 10 basically. So we'll absorb that into how tall are these? They are as tall as the text. which is 14. No, 18 for the height. So what we would just do here is, if that's 18, maybe we would want to give a top and bottom of 6. So that's an additional 12 I've just added. Here 6. So I would just remove that, and then, kind of, so this will be a row now. This thing comes down. On this it's 16, so here on 6 it would be 16 as well, and then that does at least give the spacing. If you left those conditionals on there that I had previously removed, you'd get the this thing would be more square and equal on left and right side for its for what it's showing when it's hovered. Okay, so that I'm confident there's enough there between this and these that viewers will be able to handle it. And so let's move on now to this last one. So this one, I'm going to set a height of 70 on this. For the stuff inside of it, we only really have this one. Let's see, I think we could kind of get a little bit of something going here. So the way that I want this is a row. Yes, that is what I want. This thing I want to be 32 by 32. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and change this to be the current users. Photo number 1, wherever you happen to have that in your database. In this case, we're going to give it the old roundness of a bunch more than it is. Has to be at least higher than half. 100 is more than half of 32. Let's see. It's going to be, because it's 32, we actually want to knock this down to 9. So think about that. That 9 is the other half of that is on the other side. Well, 32, let's just divide that in half. That is 16 plus 9, that is 25, plus the 10, that is 35. And remember, we're at the width of 70 on this bad boy, so that puts it right down the center, and that's what we want. So, okay, let's see. Next up, the thing that I want to do is having this here. I'm going to double that one, and I'm going to change this to a column, because basically this one I want to be size 13. I want it to be this color, and I want it to be bold. Be bold, my friend. Okay, and then this one I want to be 9, and that, and then I'm going to do, I think, 3, 2, 4, 4 here. For some reason, it just doesn't look exactly right the way that you want it to look. I'm going to give 2 here when these are the same, but I want that to be this fancy special label color. And I'll give it a background to do so. Okay, this is going to be, pro account or whatever. This is just an optional thing that, if you wanted to have something cool here, you can. Let's see, on the right hand side of this, we can just go ahead and do that with 9. Now this one is going to be text profile name, and then it will get a dynamic value for the current user's first name and current user's last name. And then I love this new ability that came out a number of months back, but first, last. So it keeps this canvas area clean, which is delightful. Okay, we're just going to go with a small thing here, 3. That's fine. Looking good. The next thing that we would want to do here is, this is going to be 18. Yes, yes, yes. Also 18 here. Well, let me change it first, because this might change it as well. But we're going to grab a material icon. And yes, of course. I just love to change things multiple times. My favorite. No, but anyways, what we're going to do here is we're going to get an arrow that's going to be moved up to here. Super dark and dense there. Let's just have it be like that. And then on this group here, so this is going to be just the group name, and we'll let this one do that. Push it all the way out. So then it will look just like that. Okay, we do want a conditional in here when it's collapsed. Yes, it just so happens to have that because it was inherited it during a copy and paste. But the other thing we want to do is we want to make sure that all of our other so I think these ones actually already have it, which is fine, but if we do need it on this one. Otherwise, it will kind of be funny for the layout. We want this group hidden, so we'll collapse it because otherwise it'll take up some space in a strange way. This one, we're going to say it's the profile photo. And looking good. So why don't we go and test that out? We've made some significant progress here. Looks like there's some kind of hover on there potentially. Yeah, we don't really want that. I mean, that's kind of cool. But so that was just an inherited quality of this. The other thing I'll say is that on, where is it? The bottom menu here for this layout. Let's just say, take that away. It's nice to have a minimum height sometimes while you're building stuff, and then you take that minimum height away and have it do fit to content for it to kind of tuck up against where you expect it to be. Okay, the last thing we want to do for this is group. Really the profile settings, we kind of, go in there and manage your account, things like that. So we want on this one, this nice gray color here. No, not that. This one. This one. There we go. Need it separated out. Okay, that there. And so that will be that color. So let's just take a peek at what's going on here when things are, so we can, that's an old condition that does not apply. These conditions, I mean, it's fine if it's on these. This is just text label. And then this thing goes away too. So let's see our handiwork. Both here. So I think I would like a little bit of, forget which one of these. Okay, here. Looks like we want to, a little bit more. Not a big deal if this is slightly different. One thing that can happen here though is well, let's handle this one here. We'll just manually put this one in margin bottom of, say, 12. Okay. Looks pretty good to me. There's small tweaks that could be made if we really wanted to, but I'm not going to worry about those. I'm going to say that this is, generally speaking, how I would like it to be. This one here, actually, on this, I'm just going to give it I would like this to scooch over a little bit more. Okay. So that finishes all that stuff, and then now we'll move on and we'll get to the other part. But basically, on these ones, any of the stuff that was already here could be applied here, as Per said. Let's go ahead and see this thing collapse. Boom, that looks perfect to me. So let's go now and to do the flyout. Let's take a look at this, and we'll just note it's basically the logout, obviously that's just regular workflow, and these ones can go to new pages, so they have that open link in a new tab thing as well. So let's go and see what we'll do to make that happen. So we're going to look for a group focus. I'm just going to drop that, bring that back up here, and then we're going to try it again. Okay, so the reference element here is going to be this one. So this group profile settings. And let's just start to get rough in the layout here. So minimum height, let's say we take a peek at this, it is wider than it is taller. Got it. So we're just going to say that, and then we'll say it's 170 here. We'll give it a background color. Just plain white is fine. And then offset. Let's see. We're going to have to work with this a little bit. So let's say negative 400. Let's see where that brings it. Okay. Definitely. Yeah, that's going to expand out. We'll just see how it goes. Okay. Okay, and so we're going to go 178 and 218 here. And then we're also going to give this a roundness of, let's say, 8. And then we'll also give it a shadow style outset 0, 0, 4, and maybe that's probably pretty good color, but we'll go 60% of it. We'll take a peek. Oh, you know what? In order for us to take a peek, what we want to do is head to this profile settings and do add workflow. Then we'll do toggle, and we'll toggle our focus group. So now we can kind of take a look at its placement, see if it's in the right spot, add some items to it. Yes, indeed, looking good. So let's go and do the things that I noted, which was copy and paste a few of these items on there so that we have a little bit of a head start for these links. Yep, perfect. No, we want this whole thing. And so we'll just do copy. Up here, under here, we'll go paste. And then let's see what's shaken. Okay, so that's in integrations. What we want is billing and settings. And then now, obviously, these links, you just, set them to wherever you have those pages. Right, that kind of stuff. Let's see for this. Let me find where I'm just going to grab these icons to make it easier. Now, I'm going to breeze through this and say that we've already seen the conditionals and making things have multiple colors on them. So you would just do the same as before. But in this case, the other colors of these will be available in the image pack. But just for the sake of tutorial length, billing, settings, excellent. Keep it all straight. Okay. That's not true. And that's not true. It would be with the other ones, though, just to note. But again, going with the faster version. What do we got here for a hover on this G settings? We got the 6, this thing. That looks pretty good. We'll get one of these. No. One more of these things here. Let's take a peek at this here. So it's this, and then this is less. So it's kind of wrapped in this extra group. So if we just get an extra group on there, that should do it, folks. We'll be really, really close. If I find my place. Okay, so this one is log out. And yes, when this group is hovered. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this element in a column container. In this column container, call log out shell, The thing that's going on here is just that we want this extra. Let's make that 60. Let's give it a independent border, top border, solid. Yep, that's the one. Okay. So this logout, we want it to sit. Uh, that. Let's go and find our group focus. Here we are. Let's have this extend out. And then for this group focus, so there is going to be that part of it. Okay, cool. So there's kind of like this unknown amount that it shrunk down there. Let's see. I think on this one, on the logout shell, what we'll do is we'll add 10 left and right padding there, which means somewhere in here we want to back this out and this out. And then this will be, so this actually wouldn't be a link. This would actually be a text, because we just want this to be a good old fashioned log out button, where we would say add workflow, log the user out. That's it. Maybe they get redirected somewhere, or your page has a, it has some conditional sitting there that if the user is logged out, then they don't see anything. They see the login or a login pop up, perhaps. Yeah. Okay. So we're doing really good. Let's go and take a peek at how this is shaping up. So if we show this, all right, looks like we're missing a little bit of something, but we're basically looking for something like this. Looks like we could add some additional padding around these items, and then update this text to be the correct text that says log out, and find the log out button. So what we want to have happen here on these ones, basically around it, we want this group focus to have some kind of padding. So actually this left and right, I can go and remove that from here. Then we have this, then we have this. So I think on the top as well. And in between these two, so I'm just gonna do one of these. Oops, not a link on the group. Like that. Now I think what's going on here is I could knock these down to 30, and that's going to um, just kind of tighten this up for this. And then finally, our last thing to do, we'll just have to figure out this offset top, because we're trying to, so 38, does that mean I need to add 30 on the top? So I think I go down to that. Yep. Because we want to have the same, because there's an 8 pixel here and an 8 pixel on the side, which is going to allow us to do this. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so it looks like, a few last things. So we'll knock off 5 on these, or sorry, 10, bring them down to 5 rather. And then the same for these here. Okay, so that lines everything up nice. There's a little bit more small things that could be cleaned up, but you're not really here for the UI. You're just here. Well, I mean, you are, but like you're not here to see the same thing multiple times. You already know it. It's already up here in terms of some of the hover states and things like that. The one thing that I want to wrap up with is let's get this collapse down, and then we'll have, so we can see here, we've got this nice flyout panel, but then when we do this, what do we do there? So let's address that as our last item, and it's a pretty easy fix. We're going to say this is group profile settings, expand it, and then we'll do just do a straight up copy paste. This is collapsed. And what we'll do here is when it's collapsed, bring this all the way down to, no, that's not right. 78. 78, 68, let's see what we get. But then the other thing is on this group, we'll do edit workflow, and we'll add a conditional here that when the sidebars collapsed is no, then we run it on this one. We'll copy and paste that. We'll do it where when it is yes, then we'll run it, not the expand one, we'll say focus collapsed. And that is how it's done for the sidebar. So we'll just need to, yep, there we go, nailed it. Okay, so nope, sorry, that was actually the one that we're copying. I apologize. We want to verify it on ours, the ones that we're building here. Okay. Yes. So it looks like I'm about 10 pixels off. That would be more expected. It's more expected to have to get a little bit of extra something or other going in order to fine tune it, because there's a lot that goes into these builds, right? As anyone who's made it to this point in the video can attest. Speaking of a lot going on in these builds, yes, there is something we do want to address here quickly, is that these items here, when they are hovered, it is kind of an optional UX UI type of thing to let someone know that this is there and this is what they're going to be clicking on. So on this particular thing, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and copy these out, and then I'm going to share with you all of their settings so that you can know them and add them in. So first and foremost, what I want to do, because of the copy over, I'm just going to re-anchor, and then let's take some notes on this. So basically, all of these have -38 and 70 for their offset. The only difference is that they're anchored to the different elements. And what we're dealing with is they all have a flat color of 3B77D4, roundness of 5, outset, where the 00 is set to 17, just zeros all the way across, all the way black for the color. Blur radius of 4, that's the only one in the outset. And then when we look at the layout, the important thing to note here is 104, 149, 139, and 96 for these, and those are directly related to this font size and character count on these. So it's 14, I have a Gotham rounded book, 600, and 0 letter spacing, and 1 for the word spacing. So because you'll note that on these particular focus ones, there is no fit to width to scrunch it down. So what these widths have been set exactly to something that would give an equal 10 pixels on each side for these that you can see here in the red, which conveniently disappeared there. Okay, so that is the settings for these panels if you're taking it to the goal line on this. And then now let's go and learn the workflows that you'd be doing. So we're going to do a do when a condition is true, and we're going to do it every time that the G dashboard is hovered and the sidebar collapsed is yes. So when that's the case, then we are going to show an element, and we are going to show the focus, the group focus for dashboard. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and we'll copy paste that, and then when it isn't hovered, what we'll do is we'll hide the dashboard. Okay, so let's take a look at that in action. And then obviously that workflow gets applied to all of the other ones. So here, we'll note it is not here, 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 but it is here. Shows up on that with that workflow. And now adding identical conditions where you have every time for all of these is hovered and is yes, isn't hovered and is yes. So for closed comments, hide it, then on this one, show it, and basically for all the other ones. So it's showing and hiding the focus based upon those conditionals. So awesome work. Just a reminder again, if you want these icons, so just that you can get things set up and you can kind of build this framework and then go back in and refine it to take it to the next level. And then if you also are interested in the AI SaaS course where we actually build out all of these pages here, we build out a flow of integrations with an API, we're pulling comments in, and you get to learn basically the recipe. So this goes beyond like this particular app, but what it teaches is the high level recipe at which, AI tools are integrated into a workflow and helps you design the user interfaces of these things, and then give all of the considerations around, the different user levels for monthly stuff and how to get your payment stuff set up correctly so that users have the various abilities based upon what subscription levels they're at. And if you're interested in that, the link will be in the description as well. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more great tips about Bubble, and thanks for watching.